Hi, welcome. It's Mike. Well, they just say it's showers out there, but it does look like more rain than anything. So I thought I'd come in and do our little chat on the inside. It's still fairly dark out there, but we're having to take a look at things. So we hope you enjoyed today's chat. Um, I know sometimes I ramble, but hey, it's my review. I think I'm going to change the title to Mike's News Review. Seems to be the easiest one to come down with, but who knows? We'll have to see. So get your cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and we'll get into our chat. Now, this is really disturbing. There's, out in Fraser Valley, Mission, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, there's flyers being passed around about from White Supremacy Group or KKK. And these flyers are with a bag of rice. So, I think the white supremacist movement has some nerve. They just want to be the power. They just want to hold all the power and make things just wonderful for white people and how white people should just have all the opportunities. Well, I'm sorry. A lot of the white people are pretty well just lazy and expect things to be spoon fed to them. Some of the other races get out, hold 2 or 3 jobs down just to make a living. And here you, the KKK, wherever you are giving out these flyers and saying that you think that whites are the only way to go. We're all friggin' people. And everyone has a right to work their hardest to do the best they can. But just saying, oh, well, we're the best. Whites have screwed up this world more than anything. And just to assume that. But I don't think whites are any better than anyone else. And here we have, you want to get back to, oh, whites built this country and whites have done this and whites have done that, and oh yes, that all the other races are inferior. Really? I don't think that's the case. But they keep wondering that, oh, how whites are doing the wonderful job and that all the jobs should go to whites, and blacks or East Indians are only good for one thing, and how they're raping all of us. Who knows? Maybe Donald, after losing the election in the state, will come up and lead these people to come out and be the best. But people, do you really think that these people have the right answers? Can't we all work together? Now, I spent many a years at 7-Eleven, and everyone there was treated the same. You may have a few arguments and such, but everyone's goals were treated the same. Now, there were some stores that hired one ethnic race, I'll call it race. even though we're all the human race. But then when you take a look at the neighborhood around, that was the race that was predominantly in that neighborhood. So there were drunks who would come in and say, I want to be served by a white person. And, I also saw this when I worked for Save On Foods. And while most of our clientele was wonderful, there were people who would come in and say, well, I need help doing my groceries. Fine, so I would take someone, and then they said, no, I want a white person. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. This is all we have. And so that's who you're going to be stuck with. No, I didn't say it exactly that. But I think it's time we all have to sort of have the KKK die off in Canada. I think we're a hell of a lot better. And everyone needs to work together. That there are plus and there are minuses to a whole bunch of people. So, get out, enjoy life, and who knows? You might be better for it. And who knows? One day, one of them might save yours. So, white rights, white lives matter. Every life matters. And I know I'm going to get some people who are members of the Black Lives Matter upset when I say this, but it's true. No one has the right to be killed, mutilated, beat up because of their race. It's something they didn't have to choose. Sorry, the TV is flashing back and forth. But wake up, smell the coffee, and get on with your life and be acceptance of everyone. I'll be back with more. Hold on. Every morning I hear traffic in the lower mainland being heavy to, where there's so many reds some mornings on the traffic eye on the global TV that have to come to think. Everyone has to be to start the work at the office at 9 a.m. Why don't we get into staggered times? What works better for, some people? Maybe just have someone go there and unlock the door and have people come in at staggered times and allowing people to work later. And maybe get rid of some of all this traffic backlog that is constantly hitting Vancouver. It seems stupid that it takes so long to get to work. And you're taking away people's lives. Now, if we have a staggered, then, I think people, if they needed to, could sleep in. And they don't have to get going right at the get-go. Where it could be that some parents need to get going early in the morning. But the traffic, and they keep closing roads and making things go crazy. If they could come up with a way that road closures could happen in the night to fix. SkyTrain got into that mode, but doing the repairs to the tracks seemed to happen at night. Less traffic, but they keep all these road closures and everyone wants to work during the daytime. Well, I'm sorry. It I worked many nights. I worked graveyards many nights because that's where the job was. So I'm not saying make where we start working the 24-hour clock. There are people who work better at night, and maybe we should open up to allowing these times to allow these people to work these times. It's not a far out deal. There was staggered times going to be started at schools because some students work better at night than they did during the day. They did better at their homework than they did. They could concentrate more. Nothing ever came of it because they couldn't find people to teach at that time. But, there's a hell of a lot of teachers out there that don't have jobs that could have jobs if they open it up. I'm really starting to think that this may be an idea right across the board. In the morning rush, oh my God, there's the lines up getting over the Queensboro Bridge and then over to the Alex Fraser is always backed up. It's terrible getting out of Surrey, and everyone is trying to make it there for 8 to 9, when all these jobs start opening up. But, you know what? I think it's time we take a look at things. I know it's easy for someone who's on disability to sit there and talk, but I had to wade through the traffic and that trying to get to my workplace on time. But it's something, we really need to take a look at. Different ways that we can open up the roads. If it would be a way that later on in the day have bike lanes open all over the place. But during the regular day hours, maybe that's not the way to get things to go. But right now we suffer through this clothing and that clothing. And if people were going to be safe doing the work on the roads at night, I think that's the time to do it. And then have all the roads open during the day. Maybe it's something we need to talk with our city council about. But, things just keep, no, this is the only time our unions say that this is the time they get to work. Well, if people want to work, they'll work. It's as simple as that. Well, we've hit that time of year. Well, Vancouver doesn't really have to worry about it. But the Eastern Seaboard, the people of the Caribbean have hurricane warnings. Hurricane Matthew is coming to hit the borders, the town. Now it's hitting Haiti now. And, Haiti has so much poverty that no one could really ever be prepared. And there's no real infrastructure. And the change of what it looks like in the Dominican Republic versus Haiti is terrible. It's like night and day. But even the western seaboard, the eastern seaboard, everyone rushes. No one's really prepared. They well, 3 years ago had Hurricane Sandy, which ended up to be a tropical depression or a tropical storm. But, all these things keep coming in, and all this damage that I don't think people really think about hurricanes. We saw this in New Orleans, and now in the lower wards, people are building homes on stilts so that if the waters rush in, their homes will still be protected. And there'll be a lot less damage. But everyone wants to do things so cheaply that I don't know how much of a natural disaster we're ready for. We get a classified 4 something on the Richter scale earthquake in BC at the beginning of the year. And everyone starts to panic. Oh my God, is this the big one? Well, we may get the big one in our lifetimes and we may not. The point is, are we ready for these storms? And I think the answer is no, we're not ready. I know for years, when I lived in Vancouver, there was always kind of emergency boxes, we called them. They were these big steel metal things, which I think if there was an emergency, I don't know if anyone could get into these boxes. But we all have to take a look and prepare ourselves and have an emergency kit. If you're someone like me who has more severe medical needs, then you should have enough medicine, you should have enough food, clothing to last you for 72 hours. And, sorry, it's the TV going. You should have clothing, you should have your medicine for 72 hours. But people seem to think, oh yeah, well, everything will be fine. I'll just use my bank card. Well, I'll let you know something. If the power's out, you're not going to be able to use your cell. You're not going to be able to use your bank card. The stores aren't going to be open. People are going to be looting. And you know what? When people loot, they're going to start selling all the food at astronomical prices. You're going to have trouble finding water. So when they come out with these alerts, and if we get one in BC, we need to make sure that you are prepared. Don't just wait. Oh, well, it was all washed away. Oh. Now, for this household, I have an earthquake kit. I have a kit for my dog and cat that we're able to be self-sufficient for 72 hours. We live in a newer construction building, which I hope will be able to stand up. So, there are some things you can do. And know where these things are. You should have a meeting spot for family and friends so that if it happens, you will be able to go there, find, and be reunited with your family. Don't just think, oh, well, you know what? Everyone's going to be giving out everything, and you know we've seen this down in New Orleans, where people had to go, and I think it was the Super Bowl, and people had to live there. And it took many months after, I think, well into the next year. So, the one thing I'm going to borrow from the Scouts again, which I always thought was a wonderful idea, is be prepared. Well, we have chatted about a few things today that hopefully will get your mind thinking. First of all, there was the KKK, and what right do they have to have control over every other race? Everyone's trying to get control. Then there was the hurricane season and emergency preparedness. So, all these things we discuss every day, it's just your time to think and find out about you. And what's your thoughts? Post them down below and we'll discuss them. I think we should try to do that. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow with more exciting news.